Hey guys, what's up? We're back here today with another device. It's a little interesting. It's not the kind that I get very often, but this is an MSI Claw. Now this MSI Claw, you might not be able to tell too well. You might be able to. I don't really know because the picture is so freaking small on this camera that I can't really tell how it looks to you. But as you can probably see, there is one Wi-Fi network that shows on this initial Windows setup, and it just says Office. Now this, depending on where I hold it or how I hold it, it will give different Wi-Fi networks that are available. Office is literally a TV that's 2 feet behind me, and it should be picking up more than that. Yeah, you can see right now it's also picking up the camera that we're using. So, but it's not actually picking up the Wi-Fi network, which is a stronger signal than both of those things. So the problem, the customer opened this up and we aren't really sure what's going on with the Wi-Fi cables inside, so that's what we need to investigate. So we're gonna go ahead and power this down by long pressing the button there. Till all the lights go off. Kind of like putting the device in a chokehold. And then all the screws on the backside here are a Phillips variety, so I'm gonna go ahead and get out my Phillips 00 and we'll start removing some screws. So you never know what you're going to find when you open up a device like this that a customer has already opened. Typically, they're trying to do simple upgrades like a bigger SSD or something like that. And sometimes those little upgrades can cause major issues if things don't go back exactly correct. Now, I've never taken apart an MSI Claw, but this is pretty similar to the ROG Ally, which you guys have seen me take apart already, and the Steam Deck, which I've also taken apart already. So I can't imagine it's going to be too much different on the inside. But what we're going to be trying to look for is Wi-Fi antennas to see exactly what's going on with it. All right. And the screws don't really vary in length. They're all the same, it looks like so far. So that's also good news. That one must be, we must have a captive screw. Yeah, I think the bottom one is a captive screw, so we won't worry about pulling that all the way out. Come on, there we go. All right, so that means there's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws that you take out of the back, and then there is one captive screw. So we're gonna go ahead and start, well, let's pull the SD card first, just because we don't know how that's going to interact with the system. And then let's do a gentle pry. I'm gonna grab a pry tool here that's not going to hurt anything. Should have several of those available. There we go. I like to always go right by the L and R buttons on any of these devices, just because it's the place where there's like the biggest gap. You can get the most leverage to pop it loose without actually damaging anything. All right. Back cover came off relatively easily, so now we just need to start looking for these Wi-Fi antenna to see what happened to them. Right now, what I can see is it looks like the CPU cooler screws are in kind of funky, but maybe that's how they're supposed to be. I don't really know. They don't look like they go straight in, which is a little concerning to me. I've got a big battery here. And let's see, I can see our Wi-Fi antenna live below the battery. You can see a little bit of the gold foil down there towards the bottom. But I'm not sure I can see where they plug in. So we'll probably have to pull the battery on this, which if you're working inside of a device like this, you want to pull the battery anyway. But in order to pull the battery, you have to unscrew the battery. So it looks like that's held in by, okay, that screw is stripped out. Or just not in all the way, one of the two. Or the post that it goes into is broken. Now, keep in mind that anything that you do like this is always kind of an at your own risk type of situation. You never want to be, you want to be extra careful with things like this, because if you don't know how it comes apart, then you won't be able to put it back together properly. Okay, so let's see. So the Wi-Fi antenna and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are right here. It looks like the cables run up underneath of this CPU fan and attached somewhere up here. There appear to be some screws. It looks like the whole cooling system was removed at one point. And it looks like it might need to be all put back in properly anyway, because these screws here, like I said, they're in kind of crooked. I don't know that they're supposed to be in that way. Maybe they are, I don't really know. I never opened one of these up before, so like I said, I have no clue. This will be my first time doing this, so I am going to pull the fan. Fan screw is not in tightly, it's just kind of sitting there too. So with that being said, the fan should come kind of right out. Unless the fan is a crucial part of the entire assembly. Which it very well could be. That might be why everything is all... why it looks like the whole cooling system has been removed already. So I'll just go ahead and remove it again. Yeah, that's super weird. Okay. And there's a screw over here that doesn't look like it matches the other ones. Goodness. This is certainly an interesting setup here. We got the battery pulled. We're gonna see if we can get a little leverage on this without damaging anything. There we go. We'll pull that up. Yeah, so there's the problem. The Wi-Fi card is there, but the cables are not plugged into it, and that's why nothing is running. So as you can see, the Wi-Fi antenna doesn't have any of its cables plugged in, so that's why nothing is doing what it's supposed to. So I understand. I don't understand why the CPU was pulled. I guess the SSD is over here, so maybe they were trying to do an SSD swap on it. I really don't know, but if you want the Wi-Fi antenna to function, you gotta have those cables gotta be plugged in. I hate doing these because, like, I know how, but they are such a pain for someone like me with huge fingers. Usually I have to grab a pair of tweezies. Grab a pair of tweezies to help facilitate the... Now just test that. Wow. Okay, so I think I found where the incorrect screw went. So you know how I told you that there was an incorrect screw that was for that one fan? I think it accidentally got stuck in the Wi-Fi card here. So I think the Wi-Fi card's been moving up and down with this fan screw living in it. Yeah, that looks more like a fan screw. I think this is our actual Wi-Fi card screw. And that needs to go right in there. So you need a little bit of a wider screw to hold that Wi-Fi card in place. And the reason being is that the Wi-Fi card it extends quite a bit. Like if you use a tiny headed screw, you're gonna end up not having a good time. So one thing I like about these is they're basically just tiny PCs. So as long as you pull the battery and you're familiar with PC components, you can pretty much fix these things. It feels like that one's in too. Okay. Well, now that these cables are in, we're going to go ahead and flip this cooling system back over. I am not going to repaste anything because it was probably already pasted at some point. We're going to slide this back up in here as best as we can without messing anything else up. Okay. I think we're pretty spot on there. Wi-Fi antenna are still attached. And we'll do a quick fan reinstallation here. That screw goes up here. Goes in perfectly smooth. There, that stand up, that's more how it should look. It was really, really crooked before. And it wasn't in straight. So I think this is going to help tremendously. Now I'm not pushing down a ton on the actual, if you notice my right hand is actually holding on this right side, and the reason I'm doing that isn't to hold it in place. It's to hold it up a little bit off of the desk. And the reason I want it up off the desk is because I don't want the force that I have to use to put the cooling system back together to push on those joysticks that are on the front there, because I don't want to damage those long term. Put the screw back here. The appropriate size screw, there we go. And then we'll take our battery and we'll do a quick battery reinstall here. So there are some of the fan screws doubled as, some of the screws that go into the fans doubled as battery screws. So that if you are wondering why I didn't put all the screws back in, it's because they double up. Two of them do. Two of these two right here. So there's one that goes in here, right there. And that holds the battery and the fan. And so does this one. Now I could go ahead and put this all back to, I could try to test it right now, but I don't know if there's a light sensor that prevents this one from running while it's turned on, while the back cover's off of it, and I don't really want to take a chance on that, so I'm not going to. Just making sure that cable's out of the way. I don't want anything to be impacted by what I'm doing here. Get this screw in there. All right. Well, this is going to go a lot faster than I thought it would. I thought we'd have like a big long investigation, but this was a fairly straightforward repair. Alrighty. And that's from a computer. That's not from this, so we don't have to worry about that. I had this Asus computer in here where the palm rest was just disintegrating, so that's what that is. It's from that repair. We'll drop these screws back in their holes. Like I said, we got 5 of them that go back in here. And you know, I love my LTT precision screwdriver, but the top doesn't really spin anymore. I think my bearing wore out from all the use that I put it through. Since I use this every day for repairs, I don't have a fun fidget spinner on the end of my screwdriver anymore. It makes me sad. Excuse me, I had something in my throat. Make sure those are nice and tight. not applying a ton of pressure, just enough to screw everything back in. Alrighty, that should do it. Let's power it back on and see what our Wi-Fi looks like here. Oh, you know, after opening it up and pulling the battery, I might have to plug it in to begin with, so bear with me just a second. Gip. Ah, yeah, look at that. Yeah, I got Wi-Fi networks that are across the street. My Wi-Fi is really nice and strong here. So I'd say that's the fix, guys. We got it all set up and it's working beautifully. So that's all there is to it. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this content, please be sure to smash that like button and subscribe, because there's more stuff coming out.